What's up, Pats Nation? Michael Lakis here, episode 7. I believe that's right. Andrew, you're all saying what?
Who's counting?
Who's counting? Episode 7, Pat's Tailgate Party Podcast. Again, the whole point of the show, we'd love, by the way, I'm just going to go out early. Mike, you brought this up earlier. I should do this. I'm just going to do it right now. We want you, Patriots fans, especially the ones on Boston Sports Journal, but you don't have to be on Boston Sports Journal to come on the show. This is Pat's fandom expressions, right? Like hot takes from the fans' point of view. We're just here having fun. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be an expert at football or at the Patriots or at podcasting or any of that stuff. We're just having a conversation and having fun. And we'd love for you to join us. Literally, we'd love to make this a real tailgate party. And we're all just hanging out, having fun. And again, debating and lamenting at times and celebrating at times the New England Patriots. So that's what we're here for. By the way, though, if you haven't gone on Boston Sports Journal yet, Boston Sports Journal, you need to. Greg Bedard, who runs it and is the founder of it. It is the best New England Patriots coverage you can find, the best breakdowns. And it's not just that. It's Red Sox, it's Patriots, it's Celtics, it's Bruins, it's everything. So jump on bostonsportsjournal.com and subscribe. It's definitely worth it. So excited to be here for episode 7. I got 3 guys around me here on the screen. First one, we'll kick it over to my right. Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm good. Ready to go.
Awesome, man. Happy you're here. And we'll kick it down below you. Mike Davis, Mike from Stoneham on BSJ. Mike, how are you?
Fantastic. And hope everybody's having a great week.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love your living room, Mike.
Yeah, man. Look, that's the Optum Club. I believe he told me it was the Optum Club there, having a little tea party in the back. I like it. All right. And we'll kick it over below me. Doug Lakis. Doug, how are you?
Hi, guys. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Dad, you're inside.
Don't forget your BSJ call sign there.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get mine either. Mine's Pat Sox, Celts, Bruce. Andrew, what's yours?
Winter coats.
Winter coats. Dad?
D. Lakis,
man. A lot of exclamation points. Points when he posts on there. Absolutely. No, that's who we are. So if you see us on there, and generally speaking, we talked about last week, usually, especially right after games or, right in the heat of the moment, there's a lot of exclamation points from D. Lakis. There's a lot of wisdom from Mike and Stoneham, a lot of wisdom from Winter Coats, and there's a lot of capitalization from me. That's usually how that works, right?
Anger. Yeah, it's just like righteous anger.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we got a lot to talk about today. So we have quite the agenda that from the fans' point of view. So let's kick right into it. So before we get into the Chargers game, which was really exciting, it was a big win for the Pats. We'll talk about it here in a minute. Let's talk about what passed a little bit earlier this week, which was the trade deadline. The NFL trade deadline happened. Was it Tuesday or when? I can't remember when it was because nothing happened for the Patriots. Tuesday at 4, right? And it was a big nothing burger. Andrew, I think you called that, didn't you?
I was about to say, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this. Just check. Andrew nailed it. We can move on.
Oh, man.
There wasn't
Michael, don't you have like a sad trombones or something like that? One of those sound effects?
Something like that.
There you go.
That's what you're looking for? Yep. But for Andrew, who nailed it, we'll hit one of those for him, right? Yeah, he nailed
That's
it.
Right.
I gotta be honest with you. I was looking. I was the goat, if you will, or the fish, if you will, that kept scrolling on Bleacher Report because I just knew some news was going to pop up. Absolutely not. Nothing. Nothing. Although I do think it's interesting, and why we still wanted to talk about it is I think the aftermarket situation is a bit interesting for the Patriots. I still think they have some needs. If you haven't got, well, let me say this first. So if you, again, haven't gone to Boston Sports Journal, check it out. Bedard wrote an article about what sources told him the Patriots were looking for, which is not what the fans thought they were looking for. Like I thought they were looking for a corner or a receiver or some offensive line help. He said they were looking for a defensive lineman. So defensive end, right? Rush end. So, but not somebody that could just rush the passer, somebody that could also defend the run. Cause it looks like
somebody who can set the edge, for God's sake.
Yeah. Well, I know, Mike, you charted the entire Chargers game. We're not going to get into it now. We will hear in a little bit, but you said it was a pretty dismal performance on setting the edge, huh?
Yeah, I mean, poor Gerard Mayo. That man must be getting older by the week, having to, watch the same mistakes happening over and over again. Where, Dietrich Wise and Kyle Duggar just cannot get to that edge and set that edge, and keep getting washed out by blockers, and guys just keep running around them.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that when we break down the game. So interesting what Bedard was saying about what they were looking at if they were going to trade. Clearly, they didn't make any trades. I think part of that is probably the cap situation they're in. I think it's like $2.5 million is what they have left, which usually you need to make it through the rest of the season, just because you're going to have to move people around, practice squad, IR, stuff like that. So just administrative fees, if you will. But I do think there's a couple of names that we should just throw around out here that Pats fans have been passionate about. The first one is what's going on in Cleveland, where Odell Beckham Jr. has been excused from practice 2 days in a row. And is essentially Kevin Stefanski said he's not with the team. So just act as though he's not with the team, which is just it's a weird situation. I think Josina Anderson, credit her for reporting it first. I think she was the one that talked about like how he was ready to practice, but they'd sent him home. I will be the first to tell you, I don't care how OBJ's looked in Cleveland. Because in my opinion, Baker Mayfield is, I think we have a franchise quarterback. I'm not so sure Baker Mayfield fits that mold. I would love to see, and he said previously it'd be a dream of his to play with Belichick. Could be Brady though, so he might be headed to Tampa. But I would love to see a guy like OBJ. What do you guys think?
I mean, that would be a very interesting situation to bring him to New England, but I think it wouldn't do anything but help as long as he buys in. I mean, I
think we have a history of signing, you look at Randy Moss, you look at Ocho Cinco, we have a history of signing guys, that Josh Gordon that teams may not want and getting them to buy in. I think the reality is why I personally like a guy like OBJ. And why I see a name like Deshaun Jackson, for instance, and I would tend to lean because he got cut by the Rams after not getting traded. I think why I would lean towards a guy like OBJ is he can play in the slot. And I think if you look at the Patriots, where they really have a need is somebody a quick receiver in the slot. And I see him a lot of times, and this is again what a fan sees. I haven't looked any of this up, but I see him on the boundary a lot in Cleveland. And I think he actually performs better when I think about him with the Giants in the slot, where I think a guy like Deshaun Jackson has no ability in the slot, is a pure boundary guy, deep ball guy. And I think we already have that.
I'd like to hear Coach's take on this one, because I know you've been coaching a long time, Doug. I think the Patriots actually went out and signed players based on the fact that they thought Cam Newton was going to be their quarterback. And I think they did that because they brought in guys not for their precise route running, but their ability to improvise and their ability to break tackles and run after the catch. So Jonnu Smith, Bourne, Aguilar. And I don't think they just thought that this rookie was going to be ready. And so now I think there's a little bit of a mismatch. Instead of having guys that run clean, crisp, precise routes, you got these guys who are better after the catch at yak. So if I was going to go acquire anybody, I want the guy who's going to have the cleanest, slickest, best route running, who's going to be exactly where Mac wants him to be, so he can put that dime right on that player. That's the guy I'm looking for.
I mean, that's very well said. And up until 2 weeks or a week before the regular season started, or 2 weeks before the regular season started, I think Cam was the quarterback. I mean, from everything you read, and the guys they did sign were not great route runners. And Cam improvised a lot, so they needed guys who could do the same thing. Now that they have Jones playing quarterback, and he is very precise. As a matter of fact, I saw it Sunday, 2 balls, maybe one hit Hunter Henry in the leg. Right? He wasn't even looking. If he's looking, it's a touchdown. And that's happened more than once.
Turn around, Hunter. Turn around.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. And I think OBJ would be a great, situation player for them. I mean, to get him the ball, and he's another one you want to get the ball in his hands, however you have to do it.
Right. As Dan Orlovsky says, balls in the hands type of guys. That's what he calls Jalen Smith. Get the ball in his hands and let him make a play.
I mean, and I think he's coming along too. I mean, I don't think his run after catch has been very good. Like the first part of this year, you got to catch it first. He's doing that a little bit more. I don't know. I think the ball to Aguilar was huge Sunday. I think that's coming along. So, and to your point, Mike, I think that's great observation. Yeah.
Andrew, you got thoughts there? I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we're good.
That's well said. That's well said.
I wouldn't sign any of these guys. Well, I mean, maybe it's a hot take, but I mean, Deshaun Jackson I want no part of. He's on a Super Bowl contender and not getting the ball enough, and he asked for a trade. Like, nope, see ya. Like that. We're not bringing that in the locker room.
Right.
No thanks.
Which is what the Rams did.
Yeah, no thanks. And then I love OBJ, and I think he's an incredible athlete, but I actually am not sure. There is something to, and Mike, I actually like the line of thinking you just introduced, because I hadn't really thought about the Cam difference, but I actually think Aguilar and Bourne have gotten better each week and will continue to get better. What they have to have, though, is play action working. And the play action's only been working for 2 weeks now because the offensive line can finally block somebody. I don't know. My hunch is I'm still optimistic. I'm buying on this offense. Like, I actually think it's getting better with the week. As it gets better and as the offensive line blocks better, there's going to be more space. And when there's more space, you can get the ball in Jonnu's hands. And, they can coach them on these things. I mean, that's the other thing that I think we've forgotten over the years. But as a fan, I loved back in the day. There's a reason that Belichick and McDaniels get guys who don't have great success elsewhere, but have the talent, and then they get New England, and after a year, they start putting up numbers, and it's because they're getting coached better than they've ever been coached before. Hunter Henry heard all week about the fact he should have recognized the free man blitz and that he should have disengaged in his block and turned his head around, and he would have had a touchdown. You better believe you'll see that on Sunday, and it might take him a couple of tries, but that's just good coaching. So my take on this is it feels good. All the name brands are great, but I would just stick with what they got.
So do you guys think with Ruggs being arrested and being off the team in Vegas, that's where OBJ's heading, is to go sit into that slot over there?
They said they're interested. They said
it could be.
Yeah, they said they are interested. And I saw another name, the Saints, I think, because Michael Thomas is out for the year, get tossed around. Which,
that Ruggs news. Oof. Goodness gracious. Nothing good. Nothing good about that. Just sad.
No, it's just, it's just awful.
I mean, now you know why some guys had him off their board, right?
Yeah, I mean,
unbelievable talent. But.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Speaking of the offensive line, Andrew, is Trent Brown ever coming back, or what's the situation there?
I don't know.
They've gotten better, but if I have to watch 75 hold one more guy on a touchdown run, it's kind of crazy.
Poor Damian Harris. Man. Poor Damian.
That's what you took the words out of my mouth. It's frustrating as heck as a fan, because you see these touchdown runs and then you're like, oh, there's a flag on the play. But also, man, Harris is out there eating. He is just tearing. Harris doesn't get the love he should nationally. He might be one of the best backs in the league right now. And if he had an offensive line who could block without holding, he might be up there in the statistical conversations too.
Well, he's starting to. I'm starting to see some stuff come out. Like today, I saw a tweet, I think, that talked about how he's now the grade. I don't know if it's PFF or who it was, but the grade, he's higher graded now than Josh Jacobs was last year, who was one of their highest graded running backs. So he's starting to get some momentum, which is a good thing. Let me switch over to the defensive side of the ball, and then we'll move on to the Chargers game. Mike, when we're talking pre-show, you brought up Jalen Smith, and I personally, as one that, to talk about this before, watches every Cowboys game because my wife's a big Cowboys fan. I'm a big Jalen Smith fan. For some reason, when there was Jalen Smith that was a free agent and Jamie Collins was a free agent, we decided the 31-year-old was a better choice, maybe because it had to do with money. And again, there's a cap situation there. Andrew, you're shaking your head though, like you don't want anything to do with them. So I got to know what you're thinking.
I mean, I don't know. My old neighborhood, people used to put things out on the curb and they'd leave them there so people would come pick them up and use them in their house. Every once in a while, somebody puts something out, you drive by, you'd be like, that looks real nice. And then it'd be gone. And 2 days later, it'd be right back on the curb. And my instinct was, there's a reason they put that back on the curb. That's how I feel about Jalen Smith. He's a great player. He had a promising young career. Something ain't right there with Green Bay kind of saying, thanks, we're good. And so I'm like, at this point, same kind of deal with the offense. They got what they got. I mean, they might tinker around the edges. Maybe they find something on the free agent scrap heap, or there are injuries in the next couple of weeks that change things. But right now, I mean, I'm not putting Smith in there. If you put Smith in there, then who are you taking out? Hightower, Van Noy, Collins.
I could see some of those guys coming out for a young guy like Jalen Smith. Sure.
Yeah, but you got to make room on the active roster.
No, I know.
So that's more what I mean is like.
Well, there's a few core special teamers that I think we could probably move to the practice squad.
Yeah, and you'll be waiting for that till the cows come home. But yeah, I hear you.
Well, I think Winovich might be moving to the injured reserve, right? He got hurt, and we haven't seen hide nor hair of him for a little while, right?
Did he play on Sunday? Did play on Sunday?
Yeah, I don't think he played Sunday, did he, Mike?
I didn't see him out there, no.
No, I don't think he played.
You mean you see him usually with the hair flowing, flailing backwards or something?
He loves New Hampshire. Loves New Hampshire. I don't know if you guys have seen those videos. Big fan of New Hampshire. That Chase Winovich.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of injuries, we'll just hit the practice report coming up, and then we'll jump into the Chargers. This is a good segue. J.C. Jackson out for the last 2 days due to illness. I haven't heard anything about. I haven't heard any COVID related news, just illness. So it could be any of the 1,000 viruses or infections in the world. So hopefully it's not COVID, but that's not good. I immediately look at that and go, oh boy, they're already short in the back end. I don't love that. He's the closest thing they have to a number one, lockdown man up corner. Otherwise I'll pull it up, but initial thoughts on Jackson. I mean, have you guys heard anything about that? Or that makes me real nervous. I'm glad we're playing the Panthers and PJ Walker. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to play, although I kind of wanted Sam Darnold to be there. But I mean, does that scare you guys like it scares me?
Well, I mean, it was Halloween just now, right? We were seeing ghosts.
Yeah,
that's right.
As long as PJ Walker doesn't play like Mike White did last week against the Titans, we'll be okay.
Mike F. and White, man. Mike F. and White.
I mean, against the Bengals, yeah. I mean, we had him the week before. Luckily, he didn't do that the week before.
Check down king, man. The check down king, Mike White.
No, they need Jackson to play. I mean, for sure.
Let me pull up here. Go ahead.
He's the only competent slot corner they have.
Oh, he's the only I mean, I won't go on the Jalen Mills train today. I won't do it.
I went on it last week.
Getting better each week, man. He's getting better each week.
Would you stop?
I thought he was going to get all the way to the end of the game without getting posterized, but right there at the end, there it was.
Yeah, that practice squatter mossed him in the end zone. It was great.
They should have traded him right then.
It was bad.
Nope, they should have put him on the corner, just like Andrew was saying, left him out on the.
Look here. I mean, yes. Do I want J.C. Jackson to play? Yes. I think this stuff, I think we make a bigger deal out of this stuff than we need to, though. Like, it's the NFL. Guys miss games.
Sure.
This is the reason the next man up is the real thing. There's always drop off, but usually the drop off's not as much as psychologically we make it out to be. I mean, if on Sunday they run Jalen Mills, Miles Bryant and D'Angelo Ross out there, and that's their three, they're going to scheme for that. They're going to do what they do. I mean, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. And, the other reality is if it's an illness, they're probably just resting him up and honestly making sure he's not spreading that illness to everybody else in the locker room.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Sure
that's true.
Well, and the good news too, is if he doesn't play, the way that my mind kind of worked, Miles Bryant's their slot corner. So, and I like Miles Bryant a lot. So at least in my mind, he'll be covering DJ Moore, because that's going to be the problem I don't think Mills would cover him anyway. Mills would be a guy that would cover Anderson. And luckily Robbie Anderson, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here with the Panthers, but luckily Robbie Anderson can't, he runs routes like any one of us four would. He's bad. So luckily, I think Mills could hold him down. Real quick, let me go into the practice report here. Just throw any names that I say that lead you to anything, throw it out there. Barmore limited with a foot. Juwan Bentley limited with ribs. Carl Davis limited with a hand. Cody Davis limited with a hand. Duggar limited with a neck. That doesn't sound good. Nick Folk always limited with a left knee. I think he's been on the practice report the entire year. Hightower with an ankle. Shaq Mason with an abdomen. Jonnu Smith with a shoulder. Uche with a shoulder, and Van Noy with a groin. That's a big list. But to your point, Andrew, that's such a big list. I don't even know what to do with that.
Do you think he's done the opposite? Like for years, he didn't want to put anybody in his practice list. Now I'm wondering if he puts everybody on
he could.
The injury list, right? Okay, here's what I'm going to do. If you want me to put people on here, I'm going to put everybody with a boo-boo on my list.
There you go.
Wasn't Brady on the injury report every week?
Yeah, he was on there all the time. Yeah, with an elbow. He was on there all the time.
I don't
all right.
buy into that.
All right. I think they'll be fine.
I do think you guys were talking earlier about the offensive line. If Shaq Mason does have a legitimate abdominal issue, that might explain why he hasn't been playing like Shaq Mason all year.
Yeah, that could be right.
Fair enough.
That could be true. It'd be nice to you brought up earlier, Dad. Trent Brown Trent Brown sighting would be glorious for everyone. And put him right there at left tackle. Yes.
Give that guy a break because he needs a break right now. He's
no doubt
in a slump.
No doubt. All right, so let's get into the Chargers. Big win, by the way. It seems like the only place, unless it's the Jets, the only place the Patriots can win is on the road this year. So they go to LA, 27-24 win. It was actually a bigger win than that, but our friend Jalen Mills got posterized at the end of the game. Let up a late touchdown. Which by the way, if you had the over, was a good thing because it was 50.5. Speaking of bad beats, Andrew. 27-24. Thoughts? Mike, I know you I think you went back and watched some film. By the way, if you want to join the tailgate party, you don't have to watch film. So Mike, I'm going to mess with you. You don't have to go back and watch film. Yeah. Mike's just watching film, which is great because that's
let's be clear. This tailgate party podcast got about 400% smarter when Mike joined last week.
That's true.
It's an exponential curve here that we're working from. I haven't watched tape all year, so I just sit over here and talk like I know what I'm talking about. So come join us.
Unless Bedard puts it on there, which he does on Boston Sports Journal. You can watch a ton of tape, which is again why you should go there and subscribe. So initial thoughts. So I'll throw it out there and then we can kind of discuss it. First half was a little rough. I was pretty frustrated in the first half when everything in the scouting report said they should run the ball. They were running the ball successfully, and they stop running the ball. But then they get really conservative in the red area, which is tended to be kind of I see Dad's face down there. Tended to be it's a tendency at this point. McDaniels took some flack for that this week, but that was my first initial take. Much better second half than a first half, and I just, when something's working, I don't know. Mac looked a little bit out of sorts in the first half, probably because there was some ghost pressure getting to him because they stopped running the ball in general. It was still effective and they stopped running the ball. That was my initial takeaway. What about you guys?
I thought the receivers were running crappy routes. I'll be honest.
Okay.
Even when he dialed up a couple of those things, guys just weren't where they're supposed to be. When you see Mac Jones throwing it, all the way over to the sideline there, he's like, my guy's not where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there, plain and simple.
Yep.
Well, I think the run game is the issue, and I was crazy about that last Sunday, especially in the red area. They hadn't stopped them between the 20s. I think they had first and goal inside at the 6, and they threw the ball 3 straight times. I didn't understand the play call at all in the red zone. And then they went back to, like Andrew said, they went back to running the ball. And obviously things opened up then. That was a big deal.
First and goal on the 4, hit Bourne right on the hands.
Oh, well, luckily it almost hit the defender's hands and went 99 yards the other way. I'm glad it didn't. I saw that play against Dallas, by the way. I saw how that ended up. It looked like the exact same thing. Hey, by the way, Bedard said something on the article about Peyton Manning face. That Mac's starting to get Peyton Manning face. Let me just be clear from a fan's perspective. And I know growing up as you know, in the early 2000s, Manning, Brady, the whole thing. I'm over that now. Like I like Peyton Manning. I always kind of did. I always thought he was a great player. But let me just tell you right now, if I got to deal with Manning face with Mac, and it means that we get a couple Super Bowls in Peyton Manning's career, sign me up immediately. I can deal with some Peyton Manning face and him yelling at his receivers. Just going to throw that out there. Andrew,
I think I want to introduce a new segment to the show, which is the let's recap Dad's texts on Sunday afternoon.
Yes. Hold on a minute. Do we need some? Do we have?
I'm not part of the group. Sorry, I don't get to hear anything.
All right,
Mike, we're gonna get you on there just so we can add you in. It's
Andrew. I have some fanfare. Hold on, as you read it.
When you do this,
hold on, as you read it, I have fanfare queued up. So I have some imaging queued up for you. So go ahead, Andrew. So let me get one and give me a break in between it. Here we go.
So this is 4:47. So we're 30 minutes into the game. Okay. It's hard to watch. They keep shooting themselves. Has to be better. That's a penalty.
Oh, I was off of the fanfare.
They aren't beating anyone. Run the effing ball 4 times! ! I am so pissed.
Wait a minute. Is that all Dad? Was that all Dad?
That's all Dad. Was a string. I wasn't, Yeah,
hold on. I need, all right, hold on. The way this works is when you read one, I hit the fanfare. Like I need you to, come on, baby. Give me one.
I hit the fanfare at the end because it's all me.
No. I just, every time we got to get your fanfare and this fanfare is just, we got to get.
It's hard.
Go ahead.
It's hard. You want like a dramatic.
I just want you to read it. Just read it.
It's hard to watch. They keep shooting themselves.
Keep
so
coming.
You can't hear anything. I don't know what you're doing on the board.
Oh, you can hear it. You can't hear it for whatever reason. I'm telling you, I can hear it. Go ahead.
Got it. Has to be a better throw. That's a freaking penalty.
That was the hold on Hunter Henry that wasn't called. I bet.
They aren't beating anyone. Run the effing ball 4 times! ! Oh,
we got a lot of them. ! Okay, keep them coming.
All true points now.
Keep them coming.
I am
what else we got?
So pissed.
Wonderful.
By the way, all of these texts are before 5 p.m. East Coast time. So we're still in the first quarter, I think, at that stage.
Because they were doing all this in the first 30 minutes of the game.
Just let it breathe, man. Let it breathe.
Oh,
okay.
Andrew, you need to get some headphones. 1, so you can hear the sound effects. 2, I just hit some Bob Euchre for you. A little just a bit outside.
But I did see Mike shaking his head because all those things were legit on that text message.
That's a segment. We're going to do that segment every time.
I'm just at the TV saying it. I'm not texting anybody. I'm just
run the ball.
I mean, Dad, I think most of the 14 people who watch this podcast probably can relate to what you're feeling. As well as the BSJ readers. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. It's such a New England, like you never lose the New England fan pessimism, even after like 27 championships. I mean, it's just great.
First of all, hold on a minute. First of all, we have way more than 14 people that watch the podcast. We have 18 subscribers to the YouTube channel. Geez. Okay. First of all. Second of all, that doesn't mean the amount of people that watch it and download it. Way more. Third, let me show you. Not only am I going to give you, that's a great segment. We're going to do it every week. Thank you for that, Andrew. It's beautiful.
I'm not texting anymore during the games.
Yeah, you will.
That's a lie.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Yeah, I believe that one.
That's a lie. It's brilliant. Second or last, let me give you real quick. Not only imagine the text being sent. I'm also going to do an impression of what my father looks like when he sends the text message. Hold on real quick. A lot of mouth movement and that type of thing. Arms crossed. A lot of teeth in there, right? Isn't that what you look like? That's right. I'm right.
That looks like an offensive line coach to me.
There you go.
Watching a football game. Doesn't matter what you're watching. It could be high school. It could be college. It could be.
That's it.
That's right.
That's an offensive line coach going, man, what the hell? Why can't these guys just do what they're supposed to do?
How
many damn times have we told them?
Yeah.
Andrew,
why does that offensive coordinator keep throwing the ball?
Is that not it though, Andrew?
I lived through that in high school when I was coaching, Mike. I used to have to go at halftime, tell the head coach, okay, are you done now? Can we run the ball now? So that's what we used to do.
Oh man, a seal here and a seal here. That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. That's good, man. We're going to do that every week. All right. So let's see. So any other takeaways from the game? Mike, you looked at film. So, I mean, what were some key takeaways you saw? Not only just as you look at it from the fans' point of view, like what stood out?
So the second time I looked at it, I didn't realize the first time when I watched the game how much they were playing 6 defensive backs and 7 defensive backs. I knew they were trying to stop the pass, but I really hadn't realized how much they had, basically 4 or 5 big boys on the line and everybody else were DBs. So they were playing a lot of 3 defensive backs, 3 of the safeties, right? So what they call the big nickel, right? Or the big dime. But it was shocking how often they had little guys playing against big guys, even when there was, an extra offensive lineman in there playing as a tight end. So they're playing, 2 tight ends and a running back, and they're still in there in big nickel or even big dime package. That's a pretty big mismatch size wise.
You told me they did that at one point in the red zone, right?
Yeah, that first touchdown that Eckler scored where he got to like the 5-yard line and then they just literally pushed the team right in. There were only like 4 big bodies on the entire field. It was crazy.
I mean, that's like that's like a 9-year-old playing Madden. Like who runs big dime or quarter or whatever on a 4?
It might have been the 11 or something. I'm just saying when he got to the last 5 yards, they double teamed the only couple of big guys and then they just bowled them into the end zone.
So as the game progresses and the Patriots do more of that, obviously that's an adjustment Chargers didn't make would have been run the ball. And they're going to have all those small guys out there like that. And, one linebacker and a strong safety playing in the box, you run the ball.
Right.
And obviously they didn't.
2 strong safeties, right? They had Duggar and Phillips.
Right.
But I think
that's an adjustment they didn't make. So,
well, listen, here's my take on the Chargers game. I have 2, and to the point earlier about this is like a fan take podcast. We're not trying to analyze it all. I have 2 thoughts watching that game on Sunday and afterwards. One, how much fun is it to finally have some blue chippers, like watching Judon and Barmore get after the quarterback? We haven't had that in a long time. Nope. I mean, it is just, and it's just fun when you see them just out there and they make plays, they're double teamed, still getting in the backfield. That was just fun. 2, I think I have more optimism. There's still so much room for this team to grow. I mean, the defense, it should have been a blowout. Like Mac didn't play great. He's learning. The thing that I left Sunday feeling like, okay, maybe we'll be all right. It was the first time I'd seen them execute a good game plan and actually end up with a win this year. And Belichick had a great game plan. Like, I don't know who designed, if it was him, Steve, Jared, or Gerard, maybe they got in a room together, but you can't do that against most teams. They knew the Chargers wouldn't run the ball. They're not built to run the ball. They don't run the ball. And so you play the big dime and you say, great, if you're not going to run the ball, we're going to take away the pass. And it worked. I mean, the second half, they had nowhere to go. And I just, if Belichick can keep dialing that up, then this team can do something. Because every single time we play another team, we have a built-in advantage at head coach. And the game plan is always going to be better than the other team's game plan. And I feel good about that.
I agree with you. Overall, I do think though, when you're on the 4 or the 6, like you can still run goal line and have 3 defensive backs that are tight man on somebody. So like, I get it. What you're saying, I agree with you. What you're saying is right. But there are times where they seem a little out of not in the right coverage or out of position on certain defensive plays where that's part of the adjustment.
Blow timeouts. They blew all those timeouts in the second half on defense because they didn't have the right guys on the field.
Or they had too many on the field. Like, how many times are going to run 10 men out of the huddle or on defense? Like, I don't understand that. Like that's go ahead, Dad.
The other thing that's troublesome is that 2 of those timeouts were wasted after dead ball situations. That's just baffling to me.
Right.
Especially at that level. I mean, let me ask
this. I don't know this. I didn't play football. I watch it mostly on TV, so I can't see what's happening. What actually happens there? Like when you're a coach and a defensive coordinator and you're coming out of a timeout or you're after a kickoff, How does that even happen? I mean, what's the mix-up?
It does happen, and it's not having the right, obviously not right having the right personnel right there at your grasp. And if you're gonna, and when you come out of a huddle, a defensive huddle or an offensive huddle, those guys, you need to have those guys right there that you're going to go to the next situation with. And to be fair, there's not a lot of time in a timeout. I think it's 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's 30 seconds.
So you have to kind of understand what you're going to do next and what you're trying to do. So if they line up and you take a timeout, you're obviously seeing something that you want to change or that you want to try to combat. Well, you have to know what personnel you're going to do to use that. But when you come out of a dead ball situation, the clock is stopped, something's happened, and you still come out with a having to use a timeout. That to me is just poor personnel management.
Well, let me ask this to make sure, like boiling it down even more in layman's terms. So, like, Dad, what you're saying is, and I remember this from the limited football I played, but like, I got a sub package of people that I know are on a defense that I'm going to run, whatever it is, whatever coverage, whatever it is. I know the 11 people are on the field. Well, the sideline's a big area. So some of those players, if they're not ready, some of it's on the players, not the coaches.
It sure is.
Because if they're not ready, like the best example that I can think of is field goal team. So like, or special teams, right? And what I mean by that is if you're ready to kick a field goal, but your long snapper's 50 yards away, you got to yell across the sideline to get the long snapper in the game because you're kicking a field goal. So that long snapper should be right there given the situation in the game, which is part of coaching. Does that make sense?
I mean, a perfect example on Sunday was the Patriots went out to punt. Davis is the up back. He came out. He was the last guy coming out on the field, right. And it was an afterthought.
Which means he wasn't. They're yelling for the punt team, and he can't hear it for whatever.
Well, he's either not paying attention or he's not in a position.
Isn't that all Davis does?
I mean,
Well, that's the problem. What are you doing? Put the Gatorade down.
Cody? I know is on a Friday night when we got down to a situation where it might be fourth down and whatever we were going to do, we were given the alerts two plays earlier.
Right.
Punt team, get ready. Field goal team, get ready. And the special teams coach is supposed to have those guys right there with them. I mean,
yeah, makes sense.
So I mean, it shouldn't happen, but it does.
I never thought I'd think of the day we missed Joe Judge, huh?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be back soon.
He might be back soon, yeah.
Oh, that's well said. Soon. All right, let's jump in to the game coming up this week. We have I mean, it was cool. It was awesome to see us beat the Chargers. Good recap there. Fun stuff. Still some issues they're working through, but I think we're all optimistic they're on the up and up. Mike, you brought it up earlier, though. We won't go too deep into it because we got to get into the Panthers, but it'd be nice for him to set the edge one time. Stop a big run. Right. You saw that a lot on film. Is that right?
Well, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is going to have a field day if they can't figure out a way to set the edge.
Speaking of that,
for 200 yards this week.
Yeah, he's back. He's practicing this week. Old CMC's back, man. He is back in action.
They still weren't sure how much he was going to play on Sunday. So,
I mean,
we'll see what happens. But I'm quite certain he'll play.
Yeah,
so I think he's going to give him the Willem McGinnis treatment that he used to give to Marshall Faulk, who it's not Judon. I don't think you need him to run around up to the quarterback.
Who's going to hit him?
I don't know. No one can catch him. I don't think to hit him.
I mean, I'm trying to think who would give him that treatment. We don't really have anybody on the team that's quite like Willie that I can think of.
Maybe Kyle Van Noy goes into that spy spot.
Maybe. No, I'm not. It's not. I don't hate the thought. I'm imagining Kyle Van Noy's old self trying to do that.
In theory, that's what they brought Collins back for, right? Is to play that position. But I don't think he's got the speed he used to have. And Kyle Duggar should have that.
I was going to say,
but I don't trust that kid as far as I can throw him to be in the right place.
So if let me just be clear here. If I were Matt Rule and I watched any film at all from Jamie Collins, and Andrew and Dad know exactly where I'm going. Double move city. Owen Daniels is still running wide open in the 2015 AFC Championship
that one
game.
Stings.
I'm running double moves. He can't cover me on a double move. Nonetheless, the best running back or one of in the NFL. So I'm with you on the speed piece, but let's hope they can do it. So I'll open the game up here. Just give some quick number rundowns. New England favored on the road. Or is this game? Yeah, favored on the road. 3.5 is the total or the spread, and it's a 41 total, which is low. But 3.5 point favorites on the road, which is interesting. I mean, my guess would be that has to do with Darnold's injury, or do you think it would be that way with Darnold?
No, man. So look, this is the one time all year. I mean, Dad and I live in North Carolina. We watch more of the Panthers than we probably should. It's 41 because that team cannot move the ball. I mean, last week against the Falcons, they settled for, I think, 6 field goals.
Well, that was bad.
Darnold or no Darnold, they're just struggling. The offensive line's really, and they knew this coming in. I mean, most folks were excited about some of the pieces the Panthers had built, but they had a feeling they were still a year away because they haven't been able to remake the offensive line fully yet. It should be a good week for the defense if they pick their spots with pressure and they find a way to keep McCaffrey, if he plays, from going nuts. I mean, I think that's the bigger challenge they have to worry about.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
From the Carolina standpoint, I mean, I think defensively they're pretty good. I mean, they seem to have some playmakers on defense, and got another one came back last week that makes them even better on defense. So
who's that?
That would be
who's that?
I think he won number 9 last Sunday. But anyway, I think from the Panthers standpoint, that's their hopeful on defense. And to Andrew's point, offensively, they were a dumpster fire last week and still managed to win a game. So I don't know.
Well, that's because the Falcons are an even bigger dumpster fire, just in general.
Anybody think Gilmore's going to be motivated to play in this game?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. Before we get to that, though, real fast, Mike, I got an injury report for the Panthers. Darnold limited participation. He's still in concussion protocol, so we'll see what happens there. I think that was all they had from a limited standpoint. And then full participation, Jermaine Carter, Pat Eflin, Cam Irvin, Stephon Gilmore's full participant, CJ Henderson, and Matt Paredes. So they're healthy, but other than at the quarterback position. But back to Gilmore, and I think he's going to be really motivated. He said this week, it's always a little something extra. This is not a quote, so don't quote me on it, but it's always a little something extra when you're playing your old team. And he also said that he wasn't happy with how the Patriots handled his injury, which I don't know what he means, but clearly he wasn't happy about something. So you guys said it earlier, though, pre-show, you didn't think he was going to play for New England this year anyway.
I don't think he was going to, and I think that's a money situation.
Right.
He can say what he wants about his injury, and I mean, if he was healthy and he said he was ready to go when they started training camp, and obviously that wasn't the case. So I don't know. I just don't get the feeling that he was going to play for New England.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think he was going to guard. That's what I was thinking. He picked last week to guard Kyle Pitts. He asked Rule, hey, I want to guard Pitts because that was their best weapon with Ridley out. So I'm trying to think from a fan's perspective. I'm like, all right, hold on a minute. Who's 9 going to guard? Thinking
Bourne? I mean, who the hell is he? Who are you afraid of if you're the Carolina Panthers?
Nobody. Really.
N'Keal Harry, baby. N'Keal Harry.
Oh, wow. There you go. Guard Harry. I mean,
although he did have a couple catches last week.
He did. Dad, you're a big fan of Harry. You talk about him every week.
I like Harry.
I like Harry, but to Andrew's point of a couple of weeks ago, he's not a tight end. Put him in a slot or something and throw him the ball. I mean,
hey, Doug, he was running the right routes. Like you saw, he was freaking wide open because they're like, they're never going to throw that guy the ball.
That's right.
He was so wide open. Like there wasn't another shirt in the vicinity when he made one of those catches. There was nobody there.
He made a real great catch on the Mac. Actually, I think threw it to the wrong spot. Right? Wasn't that didn't he have a contested catch? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, anyway, we don't want to get off on that. No, but I think he can help. I do. And
I think this is the beauty of the Patriots offense. You can't pick one guy. I mean, you got to keep getting better. And to your point, Mike, they got to run better routes. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know what you going to blanket Bourne or blanket Aguilar. Okay, great. Then they're just going to throw it to the tight ends, or they're going to, I mean, maybe Jacoby Myers to take away.
That's who they're going to guard. That's who he's going to guard. That's who he's going to guard.
That's who I would think. I would think they put him on Myers.
I think that's who he's going to guard. I think you'll probably see him blanking Myers because that's Mac's safety net. And I think that, he wants to take that away. But I also think McDaniels does a lot of stuff for all the crap we give him about some of the conservative play calling in the red zone. He does a lot of stuff that schemes guys open. Like it's not, I agree. They need to run better routes, but a lot of the pick plays and a lot of the rubs and different stuff that he does to get people open, people are still going to be open and get their yards. I think the challenge is going to be running the ball on the Panthers. Cause I think that's going to be tough. And that's where, Andrew, you said it earlier, this offense, in order to be effective through the air, has to be effective on the ground. It's not a 5, although I'd love to see them give Mac the reins and let him line up in 5 wide. And, I just would.
With this offensive line, he'd get killed.
Nah, man.
They don't know. No, hold on. Mike. Who's going to be a hot read?
Mike, we're talking.
Who's going to look, take 2 steps and catch the ball?
That's a good question. It's a great question. So
Hunter Henry the ass again?
I just think it'd be great to let him to let him do that and navigate. But you're right. That's probably a bad idea. That's why I'm a fan, Mike. That's why I'm a fan.
But going back to that, though, a few games back, they did go 5 wide a couple of times. I don't know if it was against Tampa or Dallas. They lined up 5 wide 3 or 4 times during the game and moved the ball right down the field. So,
because they realized with Tampa, you're not going to run the ball in Tampa. So you're literally just going to have to.
To your point, you say they're going to have trouble on Sunday running the ball. So we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think that. I think another interesting thing is, why they wouldn't guard Aguilar. Bedard said something on an article the other day about Aguilar starting to complain a lot. Well, Nelson, run, catch wide open passes, run cleaner routes, catch 1 contested ball all year. 1. I just want 1, and then you can talk, brother. Until then, pipe it down over there, man.
I also hope that the fumble thing still lingers, and I wish Bourne had a play I think that was deep in the Charger end.
It was. Would have been a field goal.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, that's when they fumble, is when there's points that are going to be on the board.
Yeah, you were talking about your dad's face. What do you think Ivan Fears and Troy Brown's face looked like when those fumbles were happening?
Troy Brown, favorite all time.
Oh, it's great. Should be in the Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame. Not just the Pats Hall of Fame. All right. So I think my thought, and then we'll do predictions and we'll get out of here. My thought is protect the ball, which is what we were talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Try to establish the run. If you can establish some sort of ground game, that, Andrew, your point, that's going to open up play action, which is where Mac flourishes and where their play calling flourishes. But I think, Dad, you bring up a great point, which is if they're not able to run the ball, I actually do think spreading the field and spreading the defense, quick routes, 2 steps and throw, stuff where Mac doesn't, he's not taking huge drops back there, Mike, to your point, and getting him killed is important. And then I think especially if whether Darnold plays or not, I think the defense has to have a big game. Like, I think they have to hold, and I don't think they're going to struggle with that, by the way. I think, to your point, Andrew, the Panthers don't move the ball very well. PJ Walker, he didn't have a ton of NFL experience. I think from a defensive perspective, they're good. So we'll go around the room. Those are my thoughts, unless there are any additional thoughts on the game, or we go in and you guys, let's predict it. What's going to happen? Andrew, we'll start with you.
Well, be there in person on Sunday, so I'm looking forward.
Whoa.
That's right.
Wow.
Last 2 times I've gone to a Patriots game in Charlotte, they've lost. So let's break that streak.
Nice.
I had a great view of the Gronkowski pass interference that didn't get called.
The Keekly mugging. Nice. The Keekly mugging.
Right in front of me. I was not a happy camper. May have had a few Coca-Colas. I think they're going to actually have decent success running the ball inside. Like, I think it's a power run game kind of game. Panthers have a ton of speed on defense. You don't want to be doing sideline to sideline.
No toss sweeps.
Run it. No, yeah, please don't.
Not with Bolden.
Run up the middle, play action. I think Mac gets, he learns from his mistakes. He had a rough game on Sunday. I actually would expect him to have a better game this Sunday. And I think our defense should be able to stop Panthers. I'm going to pick Patriots. I'll probably get like 24-17.
Oh, 24. All right. 24-17 Pats cover and go over. Is that right? Is it? No, wait a minute. 20. Yeah.
You said 3.5.
No, 3.5, but then 41. So I guess a push. Interesting. All right. Mike, we'll go to you.
So first of all, I'm going to hope we actually see JJ Taylor, right? We see all three of the young backs, right? I'm with you, Doug. I'm kind of good with seeing Brandon Bolden in the backfield. He's fine on special teams, but I don't want to see him in the backfield. I do think that they are going to try to play bully ball. And I do think they're going to try to run and then set up the play action pass. And I'm just hoping that you guys are right and that we're going to see fewer mistakes, and that if that's the case, there'll be some more crisp route running, whether it's Jalen Smith or it's Kendrick Bourne or it's Mr. Complainer there. And if they do, then they should win by 7. And I think that 41 number is pretty accurate too. So
there you go. I like it.
I guess 21-17 maybe.
All right. I like it. Nice. All right. Very good. Dad, over to you.
Like I say, all the things we've talked about have to happen. And I feel good about the Patriots winning the game. And I think if they can, again, stay away from the mistakes and do some of the things that they do well, I think the Patriots win 27-16.
All right. 27-16. Andrew, I think you're in for a treat, man. I think they're going to blow them out. I think you got a guy like PJ Walker. I'm telling you, I hope Sam Darnold clears concussion protocol because they have always dominated him. And I think there's going to be a plan to bracket DJ Moore, who's really their only McCaffrey. Don't get me wrong, McCaffrey's back. That's a big weapon. But in the receiver core, I'm not worried about Robbie Anderson. I'm not worried about their tight ends. I'm not worried about any of those guys. They're going to have a plan to take away 2 players. And I think you're going to see that. I hope JC Jackson plays, because if not, that might change the whole narrative. But if he plays and he's okay, I think you're in for a treat of like a defensive, just a shutdown. I think they're going to lock them down. I think they're going to, I don't know how much they're going to score, but I wouldn't be surprised to see like a 24-3, 24-7 game where they literally just lock them down defensively, create turnovers, get short yardage situations, and turn that into points. So that's kind of I think it's going to go under, and I think the Pats are going to cover easily. I think hopefully, Andrew, I don't know if you're sitting in the lower bowl, but I think by the fourth quarter, you're going to be able to go down there to the lower bowl with all the other Pats fans, and all the Panthers fans are gone. And I know our buddy, one of our subscribers, Big Al, is a big Panthers fan, so he's probably not going to like my prediction, but that's just how it's going to be, I think. So, Mike, you going to the Bruins game tonight?
I don't think so.
Oh,
it looks like it's not happening.
Dang. I was going to send you off with some good luck in the gold and black, man. That stinks. All right. Well, any final thoughts, guys, before we get out of here?
No, I enjoyed it, guys.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Always great.
Awesome.
Just one last all call to any other Patriots fans out there that want to join us. Like the beauty of Zoom is this room can be as big as it needs to be.
That's right,
just
man.
Let us know.
That's right. Hit
Mike, how can they let you know if they want to get on?
Yeah. So Pat's Tailgate Party at gmail.com. Pat's Tailgate Party, PATS Tailgate Party at gmail.com. Literally just send me a note. Say, hey, I want to join. If you're on BSJ or you found this on YouTube or Apple or Google, wherever you get your podcast, and it's interesting. We want you here. So just shoot us a note and jump in. So, all right, episode 7 in the books. We'll see you next week for episode 8. Go Pats.